Hello and welcome back to the channel. When I woke up this morning, I was feeling a bit more waggish than usual, so I decided to create the greatest trap I have ever made in the history of Minecraft. Now, my original design for this trap was absolutely brilliant. I used multiple advanced redstone pieces like a pulse extender and a pulse delayer, and I used like a multi-piston setup so it had a siphoning ability, and really was just a work of art. This alone took me like 2.5 hours just to design. But, I mean, it's cool and all that I just make the person get thrown into a pit of pufferfish where they slowly die, 8 to 15 seconds. But I felt like I could do better, so I just decided to lock in and start working on something else. Now, let me give you some background on this trap. Basically, it's activated when somebody rings a quote-unquote doorbell at the front of your house. Now, in order to make this the least identifiable, you have to figure out exactly where a player would comfortably stand and then press a button in front of somebody's house. So I arrived on a 2x3 area in which people would simply not be suspecting of a pitfall trap. Hopefully. Maybe I'm just not the target audience for this. There's that possibility. But in general, I think that anybody would be comfortable standing 2 blocks away from a door and then pressing a button. Now, this pitfall trap works on a simple torch switch setup, which practically anybody can do. You could probably copy it following along with this video. But if you know me at all, there is absolutely no way I'm just stopping at a pitfall. So I've decided to add some "Michael, don't leave me here, Michael" energy to it. Dropping them directly down into a case where they would be instantly sealed in and then trapped to suffocate in the dark, cramped waters, whilst also being stung multiple times by a horde of probably hundreds of pufferfish. Yeah, sounds like a great vacation, in my opinion. Now, besides the obvious elevation difference, there is practically no difference in the piston setup for the second layer. Besides the fact that we are going to be moving ancient debris as the material, because ancient debris is simply the strongest ore in the game that can be moved by a piston. So, a bit more difficulty trying to mine out from the top when you are conditionally trapped in there. I'm not gonna lie, it's almost too satisfying when one of your redstone creations actually functions properly after the first try. Like, it's some sort of stem. I don't know how else to describe it. But yes, for this next part, I decided to create a rudimentary disguise for my trap, which probably would fool about 3 out of 5 noobs, and then probably 1 out of 5 pros and 0 out of 5 hackers because they can use X-ray, and then also 0 out of 10 for like any other higher tier rank, like high tier 1 in sword could probably detect this trap because they've probably met Jude Law. Now I think the asymmetrical deck design will definitely throw them off at least a little bit, and I mean all the floor and stuff is the same, and with the iron door here, it blends the necessity to press the button with the, just plausibility of pressing the button. Really, just everything points to, please press the button, please. I need you to press the button. If you don't press the button, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So, yeah, just in general, the window is a bit off-putting, being a little bit higher, but, some people have elevated floors. It just, in general, feels like a build that a noob would make, and they think that it looks cool. So yeah, I think I'm safe in all respects so far, except for the fact that this trap could never fool me because I made it and I know what it looks like. I need to lock in. Okay, well, back to trap building. If it looks like the saturation of gamma got messed with, that's because it was. when I was originally recording this, it did not look pitch black, but when I was creating the video, yeah, it was. There's literally nothing to see. So I had to turn gamma down, saturation maxed out, so that you could really see everything. You're welcome. But this is where I got to the dilemma of, is this actually unconventional enough? Well, here's my understanding of how the situation would go if somebody fell in my trap. They'd be sloshing around, getting stung by multiple little pufferfish, and then they're gonna crouch down into a corner and then break an obsidian block. Okay, now the next thing they're gonna do is they're gonna grab their little hiney, they're gonna throw themselves out and about and get out of my trap. Now, this is not something that we want to happen. There is one solution, and one solution only. We multiply this downward force, and we end up throwing down some little... Give me a second here. Yeah. Put down these little spikes at the bottom, also known as dripstone. And we end up taking that downward motion. They fall down, and then they die. They're dead. Yes. So, if I didn't make that clear enough, the next part of this trap is going to be a pitfall trap, throwing them down 50 plus blocks onto 2 layered dripstone. Yeah, so they aren't able to water bucket clutch. Or, I mean, I could have just used, like, carpets, which is a thing, but I wasn't thinking about that at that moment in time, and I hadn't watched like any trapping videos recently, and like I watched one last night and I realized that like this could have been so much easier. But yes, even with somebody in full maxed out Prot 4 Netherite, after taking a little bit of damage and falling 50 blocks onto any type of dripstone, they're gonna die. It's just a fact of nature, a way of life. Now, most of the time, you're not going to be trapping anybody that has maxed out gear, but having this as a precaution is really just most excellent. Now, since this next part of the video is a particular slog, I decided to do my usual tradition of simply reading out questions that, if I did have fans, I feel like they would be asking me. Okay, first on the list is, what is with your focus on quote-unquote locking in? Well, to lock in is simply to drive oneself forward towards a singular goal. And sometimes, in particular, when locking in, just in general on this channel, I have to focus my efforts into like one particular aspect. So yeah, locking in, big part of the thing. Next question, what is the blue eye a reference to Sans Undertale? For legal reasons, I shouldn't be answering this question, because copyright is a thing, but, I'll give you a yesant. Now, next question, bro, why are you mudded? Okay, that's better. What is your favorite building mod? I'd say after this one, I gotta say World Edit is incredibly useful, but I could get into Axiom. Next question. I know about the boxes. No, you don't. And now for my next hypothetical. It seems that if somebody was actually super goated at the game and had a pair of elytra, they would really just sort of drift slowly and fall down safely to the bottom. Now, obviously, after hitting the bottom, they will simply mine out a couple blocks, and then they would be freed. Now, such a thing, it can't be happening, you know? We can't let people be happy, just in general, whilst being trapped. So, what if I have a singular solution for this? Once again, only a singular solution. It begins with a T, has an N in the middle, and then ends with a T. Yeah, we're gonna hook up the walls to explosives. A large amount of them, actually. Now, it's a well-known fact among redstone noobs that an observer simply checks if the block state of the block that it's facing changes, and then delivers a redstone output of 15 out of the back end. Now, we can use this to our advantage by hooking up the observers to basically the entire wall of the kill chamber at the very bottom. So if any of these crafting tables are broken, what's going to happen is it's going to send a redstone signal to the block that's behind it. And that block is going to be TNT. Simply a moderate amount. Nothing in like the kiloton range. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, wait, give me a second. I gotta learn how to use World Edit real quick here. Takes me like 5 seconds. Yep. Boom. Now really all that's left to do is just a little bit of tidying up. Gotta replace these blocks very precariously, because if I don't, all of the signs above the dripstone will break, and that would not be fun to replace. So you just gotta sort of insta-replace with obsidian, because if there was TNT here, I feel like it would kind of give away. Okay, well, looks like we gotta get back to fixing stuff. Better start. Let's just get right here and... Ah! Man, am I lucky I was in creative mode. Otherwise, I would be absolutely cooked. Oh well. Better get to rebuilding the trap. I'm not gonna do anything about standing around. Maybe I could do just one more test run. And well, yeah, that completes it. That's the 3-stage trap that I have invented. I think I would call it the Puffer's Pipe in honor of the pufferfish that are at the beginning. Wish I could use more TNT though. You can always use more TNT. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. That's pretty much all. Am I a certified trapper now? Probably not. But there's always room for improvement. And someday when I eventually get there, who knows? Maybe I'll even be able to trap... Ooh. Oh, well, that's a good idea. How about this? If I get like, I don't know, 100 likes, I will trap Larplow himself. What do you think? What do you think? Because I am the Trap Master. Okay, well, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.